Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. The regular call board meeting of the Board of Trustees of Lufkin Independent School District is called to order at 5:15 p.m. Notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, and a quorum of the board is present. If you'll rise with me, we'll do our invocation of pledges. Lord, I thank you so much for bringing us here together as we conduct the business of Lufkin Independent School District. I ask that you give us wisdom and that you give us grace, and have us always be mindful that the purpose is here that we make these decisions is to the benefit of our students, the families that they are from, and for our staff. And anyway, ask that you be with us during this meeting today, and that we make the decisions that are going to be in the best interest of this district. I ask these things today in your name. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, if you'll be seated, please. Item number 4, I'd like to welcome everyone who's chosen to come spend their time here with us. We're excited to have you. We've got a lot of important things to do here in the meeting today, and we're glad that you're here to be witnesses to that, to the actions of the board. Item number 5 is oath of office, and I'm going to call Janae. Do you want here? Okay.
Stand here. Or I
So,
can walk up there to you.
huh? No, I wasn't sure where to walk. So Joe Caesar is not with us today. Janae will do his oath of office at a different time.
Well, okay, raise your right hand. Okay, and repeat after me. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas,
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas,
I
I, Christy Gay,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Lufkin ISD Board of Trustees
of Lufkin ISD Board of Trustees
of the state of Texas
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So once we've had our elections, that is also the time that we look to organize the Board of Trustees officers for the upcoming year, and that is item number 6, the reorganization of the Board of Trustees. So at this time, nominations are open for a slate of officers.
Madam President, I would like to nominate the following for slate of officer. President Matt Knight, Vice President Erica McNeil, Secretary Alice Langston.
Okay, are there any other additional nominations for the slate of officers? Anything you want to do differently? Okay, hearing none, the nominations are closed. So we need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the slate of officers proposed by Ms. Maxey. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And any opposed to that? And that motion carries. Okay, so Matt and I are gonna switch seats. Janae said we had to, right? Okay. Let me get mine. Tell you what,
Switch your name
grab your
plates.
name, grab your name and switch it. Yes. Switch down here.
First of all, before we move on to agenda item 7, I would like to thank Ms. Gay for her service. Very busy 3 years under your leadership. leadership, and we appreciate it. So,
I enjoyed it. It's both been difficult and rewarding, so both things at once.
we appreciate you. We'll move on now to item number 7, celebrate Lufkin ISD with Caitlin. Ms. Smith.
Good evening. Here at Lufkin ISD, we believe in celebrating the success, dedication, and accomplishments of those who make a positive impact in our district every single day. Our teachers and students work tirelessly to achieve excellence, and tonight we are honored to recognize individuals who truly represent the heart of Panther Nation. At this time, we would like to recognize our District Teachers of the Year. We are proud to honor Jill Breitner from Anderson Elementary as our Elementary Teacher of the Year, and Georgia Kreitzman from Lufkin High School as our Secondary Teacher of the Year. These educators exemplify passion, leadership, and commitment to student success, and their influence reaches far beyond the classroom. At this time, I'm going to ask their principals, Ms. Heather Reed and Ms. Dana Bickley, to share a few words in recognition of their dedication and their lasting impact they have made on students, staff, and the district. And then after, I'm going to get a picture. So, Heather, you go first? Yeah, you go first.
All right, so a few things about Jill and why I believe she was picked. So Jill has finished her national board certification this year, and so was one of Lufkin IC's first cohort teachers, and she is phenomenal with that. She's a DEIC member. She's our 3rd grade campus leader. She's also one of the 3rd grade district leaders for math and science. Something that really set her apart this year was one of our 3rd grade math teachers went on maternity leave, and so she didn't want the 3rd graders to miss a beat. So she scooped up those 20 kids every day into her class and taught 2 classes every day. 40 kids in her room. That's like, it was not hurting cats like you think. There were kids on clipboards and sitting at desks, and they were learning math for that entire time. They did not miss until their teacher came back. So, super go with the flow, but she's also a team player. And then I've never seen somebody so tuned into each kid knowing what they need academically and socially. Even some of the hardest, toughest kids, she's not going to stop until she figures out what makes them tick. And so we are super excited to have Jill at Anderson, and we think that she is more than deserves to get this award.
You'll just stand out there in the middle. Yes, please. Perfect, thank you.
Congratulations.
Good evening. What sets Miss Georgia Kreitzman apart at Lufkin High School truly is the intentional way in which she develops relationships with her students and her team. She is committed to both of those groups. She is dependable, and she's a lot of fun too. And so her team overwhelmingly supported her nomination on our campus. Ms. Kreitzman has taken on AP Economics recently, and she is continuing to grow interest in that program. She was nominated as an educator of influence by one of our top 20 seniors this year. She's only been on our campus for 3 years, and she's made an incredible impact. And we are so grateful to have her at Lufkin High School. Thank you. Thank you for sharing her with
Tonight, we will also celebrate the success and achievements of 2 of our outstanding Lufkin High School students. At this time, I would like to invite Ms. Adriana Solis to come forward and recognize our dual language scholarship recipients. This honor reflects the hard work, perseverance, and academic excellence that we are proud to foster throughout our district.
first, I would like to also invite fellow board members from our community, Cinco de Mayo, as they also work to make this award as well as scholarship possible. So I'd like for them to come here. So tonight, as Caitlin mentioned, we do want to definitely honor 2 outstanding students, the language students that have participated in our program, but since has gone on to achieve so many wonderful, great things, and so we are so proud to be able to recognize them tonight. And I just want to share a couple of things first that both of these ladies just shared with us through their application as far as what the dual language program has done for them and how it has benefited them. So these ladies mentioned that it helped them to develop perseverance and confidence, build strong work ethic, as well as problem-solving skills. They were also able to find their voice of confidence. So that was great to hear. They were also able to gain that appreciation for cultures, be open-minded. They were able to just open their eyes to experiences in the stories of other people and become effective communicators in 2 languages, as well as being prepared for opportunities outside of school. And so those are all of the things that our long-standing program has really strived to achieve and instill in our students. So even though, as they go through, elementary and then on into middle school, but these students are about to graduate, they're about to leave, and start a new path for them. And so for themselves, and so we are so excited to be able to provide this award for them. So our first recipient, she has received high academic achievement, Honor Society, Interact Club, member of the varsity team, numerous volunteer hours. She hopes to, pursue a career in the legal profession. And most recently that we were made aware of that she's going to continue in college playing a sport that she loves. And I've had the opportunity to teach both of these ladies. This lady, and also watch her grow in tennis throughout the year. So I would like for Delaney Armstrong to please come up.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next young lady, also high achieving ladies. Both of these ladies have achieved so many things academically. AP courses, National Honor Society, Interact Club, UIL, patient care program, numerous volunteer hours, and she plans to pursue a profession in going on to medical school. So very definitely proud of her. I'd like to ask Karen Moran to come join us.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
I do want to just mention both of these ladies are also going to be receiving a scholarship, like I said, made possible with the partnership with Community Cinco de Mayo. And I did want to mention that this year, starting the organization, nonprofit started in 1996. So this year we've definitely surpassed over $1 million in scholarships that we've been able to give over the years. So that is a great accomplishment. And the majority of those scholarships, they go to all area districts, but a big portion of those go to Lufkin ISD students, and 2 of those go to our dual language students every year. So, thank you all.
I just wanted to say congratulations to these exceptional educators and students on their well-deserved recognition and ask for another round of applause for these people.
So that moves us to item number 8, which is comments from the audience, and naturally we don't have any tonight. So this is a great breaking point for if you want to leave. We're going to continue to conduct the business of the district, but if we can, I'd like to shake people's hands and congratulate you. So just a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, and the board can do as well, and then we'll reconvene. Is that good? All right, good. Okay, we will reconvene with item number 9, the budget workshop. Mr. Washington.
You all feel free to stop me at any point in time if y'all have any questions. So as we start to work through our budget for the 26-27 school year, just like to highlight a couple of the items that we're monitoring as we work through the adoption process. As always, our enrollment changes as well as our average daily attendance ratios will play an impact on what we're projecting for the 26-27 year. We've also got some funding changes related to some legislative changes from last year as well as some local changes. The legislative changes, as y'all know, last year, they made changes to the state funding, and that is going to go into effect this year, so we will track those changes as they're going through. And then also, previously presented to y'all was a new LASSO 4 grant that we have been awarded that is going to provide additional allotments for our teacher residency program, our Grow Your Own program, and our mentor allotments. So those will be some different allotments that we had not had in the past. And as always, our local property values play an impact on our revenue projections as well. So the goal of the district is to review our staffing needs each year just to ensure that we're staying within the standard of, 80% of our salaries going to, or 80% of our budget going to salaries. And so what this ensures is that as enrollment fluctuations are occurring, we're able to respond accordingly and stay within those projected percentages. So the budget that I am presenting today takes into account the preliminary property values we have received from the CAD, as well as projected changes in enrollments, attendance, and our specialized programs. And so based on these changes, the district is projecting a budget that is slightly less than it is this current year. And so moving on, we have our preliminary values we received from the CAD are showing a net taxable value of $3,365,800,000. So based on our current M&O rate, we are projecting a tax collections of roughly $22,900,000. So this amount will continue to be refined as we're receiving more information from the County Appraisal District as they're working through their appeals, as they also will be providing us with our certified values in late July. And so once we get those certified values in July, we will be taking an amendment if necessary, but also setting our tax rate for the following year. And so I'd like to point you to the table on page 6. Even though we are projecting slightly less revenue for this next year, as you can see, our per pupil allotment actually is increasing a little bit. So it's going up by about 0.5%. And so this is primarily due to increases in participation to some of our special programs. So this is also going to increase as the year goes through, as we get updated information for our teacher incentive allotment this year, as well as those last 4 prep allotments that I mentioned. So that per pupil allotment is going to continue to go up a little bit as we go through the year.
Why is the federal revenue going up so significantly?
So that is going up, it is significant when you look at percentages, but overall amount is not quite as much. So some of these new allotments we're getting, yes. Some of these new allotments we're getting, as well as the LIFT grant we have, is providing more indirect cost. And so that indirect cost is considered federal revenue for us. And so that's just taking into account some of these new indirect costs that we'll be able to claim on some of our new grants.
Yeah, percentage of the budget.
Yes. And so then the graphic on page 7, it shows just the breakdown of the local, the state, and other revenues for the district. As a reminder, you all know, as the local property taxes increase, the state contribution just decreases, and vice versa. If local property taxes decrease, state contribution increases. And so, we don't have a whole lot of options as far as increasing our overall funding, but one thing we can do is maximizing these allotments that the state is putting out there as optional pieces for us. And so some of these are teacher incentive allotment, the prep allotment, but we are also currently taking advantage of many of these allotments and are working towards unlocking some of the other ones, just so that we're doing everything we can as a district to maximize the funding that's available to us. Anybody have any questions?
The 3.3 billion, is that just a pickup?
It's a little bit higher right now than our current certified values, but as they go through that appraisal, it could come down. It's probably not going to go up, but it could come down some. And so that's why, right now it's still preliminary, because until we get those certified values, we really don't have, solid numbers. We can do projections based on kind of where preliminary versus certified have been in the past, but
it was 3.2 billion last year.
It ended at about 3.24 billion, I believe.
Certifieds happened July 25th. So we're building our budget for July 1 based on projected and preliminary.
That's good.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate that presentation. So that's workshop number 1. We'll be coming back to that again next month or soon. We'll move to agenda item number 10, administrative reports, information only. Dr. Hockenberry.
Okay, I've got a couple of items. One of the reasons we're having our May regular meeting so early is that it was
scheduled on graduation, so, let's not forget graduation, next Thursday, 8 o'clock at A. Martin. Looking forward to that. Also, we have another staff award in the room tonight that's of utmost significance. Dana Bickley is our Lufkin ISD Leader of the Year. So let's give her a round. And then lastly, it's been, a little over a week since our bond election, and I've used the last few months to thank people and positions and others. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the community tonight for their trust and support in passing the two propositions. So that's a big deal. And so thank you to the community, and Will, you're in the room. Appreciate the newspaper and the work that was put in, and everybody else that played a very important part in getting us over the finish line. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to business office.
All right. The business office reports begin on page 9. On pages 10 through 16, we have the revenues and expenses through August. We have the monthly investment report, of April. We have the monthly investment report as of April, and then our tax collection report through the end of March. Our expenses are underneath the threshold we were expecting to be at the 10th month of the year. And then our tax collections are higher than they have been in the last couple of years, so that's encouraging that we're collecting, above the average of what we have been in the past years. On pages 17 through 18, we have the update for our Safe Cycle 1 and 2 grants. There's no changes from last month. We are still working through the final projects and getting the bills paid for all those projects so we can close out those grants. And then on pages 19 through 20, we have the update for the capital outlay projects. All the projects that we're updating are highlighted in yellow for you all to be able to see. If y'all have any questions, any specifics, I can definitely answer those.
Any questions?
On the capital outlay monthly report, do we expect the ones that are not finished, does everything look like it's gonna come in at least at or under?
So let's see, the ones that, really the only thing that we haven't started on is just the other signs, but the one we've got right now is tracking on project. The rest of them have either already come in, or the tentative pricing is still underneath the budget that we originally.
Okay, so no surprises is really what I was wondering.
No, everything is tracking either below or at budget.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we'll move to administrative services, Dr. Spikes.
And my report begins on page 21, contains any recent hires, resignations, vacancy information, and on-the-job employee injuries. Do want to draw your attention to my support services report on page 23. Our feeding sites for the summer are as follows: Lufkin High School, Lufkin Middle School, Hurdy, Slack, Hackney Learning Center, First Christian Church, and the Boys and Girls Club. Parents can call 211 to find the nearest summer feeding location, dates, and time, and any child from ages 1 through 18 is allowed to participate in the program.
Anybody have any questions?
I didn't have a question, but I saw something in the report from Transportation Services that was a really good story that I hope everybody saw, and it was where we had a problem with one of our buses, and our director reached out to someone in a nearby ISD, and that they went above and beyond. And I know I would like to think that we would do that for another school too, but it just shows you the community that exists between public education, that, that we're gonna reach out and help each other. But I was glad to see that was included. That was really a neat thing to read about. So please thank him for including it. That was nice to see that.
Certainly.
Yeah, those stories are good to hear.
And by the way, they did the repairs for us. So.
Yeah.
On the bus. Conroe ISD, but.
Okay, if there are no other questions, we'll move to agenda item number 11, the approval of consent agenda. Several routine items are being grouped into a single consent agenda. Any board member may request that any or all of the items in the consent agenda be removed and considered as a separate item. If no such request is made, all items on the consent agenda may be approved by single action of the Board of Trustees. And so we'll work through these one at a time. So, Dr. Hockenberry?
You have the minutes of the regular board meeting of April 16th, 2026, and the special call meeting of May 7th. That begin on page 25.
Anybody have any questions over that? Hearing none, we'll move to Dr. Spikes, professional personnel monthly report.
You would just take a look at it. There are a couple of hires on that we need your approval for.
Okay, and then, bullet point 3, Mr. Weatherington.
On pages 33 through 49 are the checks over 3,000, the invoices over 10,000, and the monthly check register for your review. There are no questions, we'll move on.
Is everybody turning their travel receipts now right here at the end of the year? Is that what this? There seems to be a lot of that on this one. Is that?
It could be, there's just more travel at this point in the year.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of field trips too.
A lot of reimbursement, there's like a lot of reimbursement, yeah.
Yes. And several of the grants we've gotten this year too have allowed employees to be able to go travel for that as well, so that's where you're probably seeing some of the increase as well. On pages 50 through 53 are the budget amendments for the month that we're requesting you to approve. There's just a small amount of funds that will move between functions at the campus department levels. And then on page 54, we have our purchases over 50,000 we're requesting you to approve. This PO is just to finish out the year for our substitute needs, and this has been previously budgeted for, so there's no increase in budget for it.
Are we pleased with the SS and that, how that all is working? I know there's, it's just right there.
Yes, I mean, from what I've heard, you know, the campuses really enjoy that partnership with them. They're able to fill a lot of the vacancies that we were struggling to fill, so I think overall we've been pleased with their services.
Any more questions for Mr. Weddington? Okay, we'll need to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion of that? Not, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. We'll move on to action item number 12. Dr. Hockenberry.
The order canvassing the votes begins on page 55, but so I can just read these out aloud for you. Proposition A, 2,219 for, 965 against. Proposition B, 1,810 for, 1,360 against.
Those are great numbers. Appreciate that. I was not here last week, so I'm not sure what all was said or discussed. So this is my one shot on this. The amount of work that went on from people in our community, there are a few people that definitely, in my opinion, deserve recognition for all of their efforts. Some of them hundreds of hours of their own personal time. And so Blair Craven, Hunter Haglund, Tara Watkins, and Jalen Mark all deserve a ton of credit. We had a lot of community members really step forward, but those 4 people really went above and beyond and really dove into this. And so I would like to personally thank all 4 of them for their time and their efforts in making this a success. And so I guess there's anything else to discuss. We need to consider the approval. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the order canvassing returns and declaring results of the bond election.
So moved.
Second.
I beat him.
So do we need a motion now?
Huh?
Is there a need for a motion now?
I made a
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? That's the motion Carries. There you go.
Before you move on to the next, I do want to actually brag on Matt and Christy because they did a phenomenal job and a lot of the yeoman's work at directing and helping the pack and going out and door knocking, and they were truly the epitome of servant leaders, and they were so hands-on. And so it's great that we had such great leadership through Christy, and she's rolling off, and I'm very confident in Matt's ability to fill her shoes. And I just want to thank you both for all your hard work.
All right, we will move to item number 13. Consider selection of the Alaska GLS as architect of the 2026 bond proposition. A project based on demonstrated competence and qualifications, and delegate authority to the superintendent or his designee to negotiate, finalize, and execute a contract for a fair and reasonable price. We'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, what I want to do is kind of first share my philosophy as we enter into construction phase and design construction. We left, one phase, now we enter another one. And I came in on the tail end of the last bond and the finishing pieces of the middle school, but I just want y'all to kind of know my preferred approach. I believe in committee work and oversight at all phases throughout, so that there is a lot of transparency, so that the public is keenly aware of the steps that we're taking as much as possible, and that we're all moving along together in mostly agreement, so there are no surprises. So, the design phase will have a group of people sitting at the table and working through it, and then you will see the board will see designs as they complete. And then that would be ongoing throughout both propositions, but it's just kind of a philosophy I found that works, and it gives the largest amount of transparency that you can. This is not a process that's done without oversight or limited oversight or a person designing it or even a firm designing it. It's a collective of the people that get to design what is desired by the community. And that approach in and of itself, I think, is healthy and creates trust and transparency, like I've said several times. And I just wanted to share my philosophy with you that this next stage will be maybe different than y'all done in the past, because I wasn't here, but I'm a big believer in committee work, and I think the work over the last 2 years and the decisions that we have made in lots of things, we've used committees, and we have sought out information, and we have listened and ultimately make decisions based upon that feedback. So that in and of itself would not change in this entire piece of the school district's work going forward. With that being said, here we are considering Prop A, and then the next agenda item will be Prop B. I consider many things when I make a recommendation, and I'll never forget the moment I stepped foot into Lufkin ISD. The very first day we traveled to every school and almost every building, and I was just, my breath, I just couldn't believe what I saw at the middle school. It was an amazing sight, and so was the pack. And I was most impressed. And so immediately I was started talking about the school to others, like, you're not going to believe this school. And so the work, the pre-bond work, the work that's been done here in the past, to me warrants a recommendation for GLS. And I would like to make a recommendation to designate GLS for Prop A projects.
Okay.
Before we move forward, I need to just publicly announce, and all of the board of trustees knows this, but I will recuse myself from discussion or decision on item number 13 because of a family relationship.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Arkenberg, for the recommendation, and I'll open it up to the floor for deliberation or questions you've got. Do you have any?
I would like for us to explore or look into possibly breaking out a little bit of the work among a couple of firms. And no disrespect to you, no disrespect to GLS or the work that they do, but we do have a number of architectural firms in this town who I know went out in October. In October, we were given the scores of the 8 firms. They were all within a 5-point range as far as their rating, but I was not at that board meeting that night, and so I missed out. I didn't see rubrics, and I wasn't able to find them or know who scored those rubrics, who was on that committee. So, not a matter of not trusting, but I would like that information. I would be curious to see that information, who was on that committee and who did the scoring and what they based the scores on. And it's such a huge amount of work. I mean, $99 million worth of work. To me, breaking out a little bit of it and allowing some other local architects to have an opportunity to work on it, I don't think that would do anything but be a win-win for us as a district. It would allow a few more stakeholders in our community to do a little bit of work. It would allow us to spread the community, all the community, support of this bond. And I'd like for us to be able to do that for all of our communities. So, we were elected to represent everybody, and I don't know, because I haven't talked to GLS. I don't know what their current workload is. I don't know what their capacity is and their threshold. But I would like for us to explore possibly breaking the projects up a little bit in Prop A, just out of fairness. So, and I may be the lone wolf on this, and that's okay if I am. I have no problem with that. I just need to say that. And it's because, like I said, in the October agenda, we got 8 scores from the 8 firms, but I don't know how those scores were derived. So I would just be curious to know about that.
Any comment? Questions?
I have a question, along those lines, I guess. If we didn't make a decision tonight, what does that do to our timeline? I mean, is this?
Prop A timeline is, in my opinion, it's not as tight as Prop B. Prop B is tight. Prop A is not as tight. So it's hard for me to determine timelines.
Okay.
I think, in our communication to the public during this process, when that question's come up, the entire piece of Prop A is probably 3 years from the date of the bond election, 3 years forward, because really the phasing piece of the high school, because you're gonna have kids in it. So individually broken out, those timelines, I'm not real sure about. I've asked the question, can, part of it be done sooner rather than later? And I guess it's dependent upon the situation, but as far as a timeline, waiting is going to obviously delay, but I don't know, I can't sit here and tell you it's gonna harm the process in Prop A. Prop B is a different story, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Or do we have the rubric guidelines that we can look at?
We do, but that was a pre-bond
Okay.
work that was done for pre-bond, so.
Right.
Well, that was my other thing too, and I know legally that if you go for pre-bond work and that you can just move that into the bond work, you don't have to go out for another RFQ. I get that, but like I said, I just don't have the information enough to feel comfortable, so.
If there is an appetite for that, for breaking out one project, this is just my opinion. If we were to do that, the ag barn would be kind of the natural thing to have as a separate project. It could have its own timeline. It would be most likely on the other end of the property that we own. And so if we do consider that, that would be, we would need to keep that in mind with however the motion comes across here, whatever the decision is, but we would need to be specific with what the motion is, and if we wanted to amend the recommendation, just need to make sure that we're really clear on what we're asking him to do, what the timeline would be. Does that make sense? Very good.
Makes sense.
If y'all are asking for something, or you're considering something different than my current recommendation, you're gonna need to give me some clear guidance moving forward, so that I know what I'm working with. You don't mind, Mr. President?
And if you're not, that's okay. I will not be voting for it. I wanted to explain why. So, and it's hard, and I know my neck is probably 30 shades of red because I hate confrontation, and I have friends at GLS that I absolutely love, and it's not a personal thing. It's just trying to be the best steward of our community dollars and spread it around a little bit. So, that's all.
Mr. Caesar, do you have any comment?
I understand the perspective. I'm more at what Eric has said, like, does it make sense for us to delay instead of making a vote tonight? That way you can get the information that you need, maybe we review it together, that way we can move forward together. That would be, you know, from what I hear, that would be, I think, most prudent.
You're thinking?
Yeah, I just don't know, I don't know what clarification I would need, or like what direction to point Dr. Hockenberry in if we delay it. I also see the need to make sure that we are transparent. We just had a board member recuse herself because of the familial relationship, and so I don't see any, I understand wanting additional information, but then I also just don't know, again, like what would the next step be, like what would satisfy that, and then what would we be looking at doing? You know, even if we punted off the ag barn, you know, kind of like that economies of scale type thing, would it cost us more money to do that? Because then you just have another one-off firm doing one thing versus the whole package. I don't know the answer to that, and maybe that's the question we want answered.
And going through that process, we would need another, speaking to Dr. Hockenberry, we would need another RFQ to include another party.
RFQ is not required on this particular. We did an RFQ for pre-bond services because we wanted to take in qualifications, but it's not a requirement for architect services. If you direct me to do another RFQ for Prop A and peel off part of that, then that's obviously what I will do. That's where I need the direction, because I don't want to walk out of here tonight and head down a road that leads to the same place we're at today. So if there is a direction that you want me to go, I'm happy to do it. I just need to know what it is. If you want to do an RFQ for Prop A and you want to peel off part of it, then you need to tell me, and that's fine. I just need to know.
What would be the timeline for the
Well, that's what I'm
RFQ?
saying.
Like, can we meet in 10 days? Can we meet in 20?
It's not that quick, but we would have to publish, go through the process. You're looking at 4 weeks, maybe at best, to come with a recommendation.
So how long would it take us to get the information that Allison needs? Is that?
We have that information. It's record from a past board meeting in October, so we have all of that, but I don't know. And again, when I say I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to study. I don't know how, especially if we're going out for another RFQ, how beneficial going back and revisiting that is.
But the scope of work has not changed, right? I mean, like what we put out in the initial RFQs would be the same, so could we not just recirculate the information?
Well, it's a difference. It's pre-bond work, so the scope's the same. I mean, it's different. Again, I'm starting to, I have to be careful
Sure.
Because I don't recall every word of every step. But I don't know if going back to that affects the future. It can be considered as part of it, but and again, when you don't have to do one, then you don't have to rely solely on that.
The portable changes and the work to the elementary schools, does that require architect work?
It depends, and so then you're getting into construction methods, so that's
Okay,
for another
another
meeting.
thing. Okay.
So
That's fine.
that will come next, is to select a construction method or methods on all of the work within both propositions.
The timeline that I could find, the RFQ was put out October 1st, requesting qualifications for architectural and engineering designs for pre-bond district services. For possible new construction and renovations, bid solicitations are available. They were due October 13th, just timeline-wise, and then our meeting is the 16th. So that was a pretty quick process.
It's a circulation in the newspaper too, so you have to time the circulation.
Right.
So it's 2 circulations, I believe, of a Sunday paper. Yeah, I might be off a little bit on that, but
13th to 6th, they were submitted the 13th and the 16th, they've been scored and were presented to us. So.
Is there any appetite to approve any portion of it? You can make an amended, your motion can be amended.
We can put it to a vote. Again, I'm not digging my heels in. I understand what you're trying to do. I'm not digging my heels in because I also understand the timeline. And I understand, there's a lot of work that's been done already and we've gone through a process. So we can put it to a vote and move forward.
just to be perfectly clear, and this is just so when we're talking about timelines, the timeline for Prop A work is and can be different than the timeline for Prop B. So I just want to make, since it was brought up and it was asked of me, I'm very it's just a different timeline.
Yeah.
We're not, so the timeline is not as tight. It's as tight as we want it to be, and we can move through as quick as we want to. Well, not as we want to, but as quick as possible, just because people are excited about it, right?
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of unknowns until we get into design and, you start doing engineer work and site work, and so there's a lot of things that can pop up affecting timelines. Anyway, so it's really hard to nail a timeline, but the urgency for this one is not as great as the other one. I think that's all I need to say about that.
There's 5 Sundays between now and our next board meeting that's already scheduled, or that's on our calendars, so I think that we could do what you're proposing, like to go back out and publish it. And do another RFQ, and it would give us 2 circulations of Sundays worth. It would give us a little time to maybe have a meeting in between now and June 18th. Maybe after everything's together and we have the rubric and can go through it all. And like have a quote unquote maybe workshop one night and then have a vote on the 18th on that, on how it's gonna be split out.
That's realistic.
And it would only be 4 or 5 weeks delayed. We were a longer time delayed in most last time, so I think we could go 5 weeks.
Okay.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes, ma'am.
So, does the construction portion, when we have to bid that out, is there a timetable for that after we choose an architect?
Or
You
is there?
decide, you next decide the method. What I'm probably, and again, you determine the method, and then you go out, like with CMAR, and you go out for proposal for that. I mean, that's a requirement.
But there's no timeline, like, it's not like within X amount of days we have to do it.
No, it's a sequence.
Okay.
But you want to follow those up as quickly behind one another so that the process is moving forward.
Faster, okay.
Like some of the stuff that we're talking about could be design build, but a large majority of the work is probably CMAR, but yet, these are all hypotheticals depending upon the, you know. Prop A has a collection of things in it, so that's where you could get into multiple methods.
Okay. That's another question.
Did I answer that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ask something just as a clarification from an observation standpoint, is that if we rebid it out the same way we did before, we're gonna get the same information back or similar. I don't know that that's going to address some of the concerns. And we've gotta be clear with how we direct as a board, Dr. Hockenberry, to do that work. So if it's a case where people want to do something different, if you want to split things out, we have to tell them now, correct?
Correct. If you want it.
Or else it's just gonna be rebid in one big lump project, just like now. Cause it's gotta be clarified to him how to do that.
Again, I'm speaking before studying as much as I would like. But if we go out for RFQ again, it will be different because it's not pre-bond work, it's strictly post-bond work. So, but if y'all are asking me to, if y'all want something parceled out, that's what we're parceled.
So
anyway, you kinda need to say that so we could present it that way.
So there's no motion yet, that's what we're waiting on, but if there was a motion, we could make a motion to accept his recommendation with an amendment to pull the act out separately and address it at our next meeting. It could look something like that, I think, but I'm not an expert on Robert's rules, so. But I know you can amend the recommendation, your motion.
So you're saying if we go ahead and go with GLS, but we can write an amendment onto that, with possibly pulling out that one, is that what?
And we could tell, that's the kind of thing we have to be real specific on, telling them what we want. So.
Because you don't wanna take action and the action's wrong.
Can we table it and get the rubric information?
So we've heard commentary,
Just table
there's been no motion on the table.
Don't table it,
So-
just take no action.
I'm just gonna push this forward to the next agenda item, we're gonna move on to 14. And then we will place this item 13 on the board, for the board for consideration at a future date, okay, our next meeting. So that's what we're.
So in the meantime, can we get the rubric criteria of how GLS got 100, Corrigan got 100, some of them got 96s, 95, 98s, can we get, I know the breakdown, I got a screenshot of it off the agenda. But can we get, like, what made up the 100? Like, how did we get to that number?
The rubric was, I'll give it to you.
Cause the rubric wasn't in there, it was just the total score was in the board packet.
because that's the role that I have, is
Okay.
to our department, under my guidance, we send out the criteria, we score it, and then we present the scores to you for consideration. The rubric and the scoring is a responsibility on the business department with my consent. But I can give you the detailed information if you want it.
Yeah, I like it, and that's, again, I'm glad to know it's the business department. I didn't know who was
But it's
on that
under my
committee,
direction.
because it used to be, last time around, I had some board members that were part of that process, so that's what I just didn't know who was part of it.
Okay. All right, we're on 14 now. We're gonna move on to 14. There will also be, on 17, where we get to request information as well, so be thinking of something different. So we're on 14 now. We're gonna consider selection of Park Hill as architect of the 2026 bond proposition B stadium project based on demonstrated competence and qualifications and delegate authority to the superintendent or his designee to negotiate, finalize, and execute a contract for a fair legal price.
I recommend Park Hill as architect of the 2026 bond proposition B stadium project based upon demonstrated competence and their qualifications.
I make a motion to accept Park Hill for Prop B.
Motion and second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I do want to say something before we vote on this, because I do want our friends at GLS to know that this one to me is a little bit different, in that it's just one building, like one project. And so I wanna make sure that they understand that this is not, to me, an apples to apples comparator, based on the no action taken on the prior item.
We can't break this up into
Right.
something to do with the press box and something to do with the stairs, I mean, this is a project, not.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other commentary or considerations? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. We're on the closed session. There's no need for, closed session tonight. And we are at 17, board request for new information and or reports. An individual board member may request a report or new information in the regular board meeting by majority vote of the board. Anybody have any?
I do. And really today, this shows a good example. In the past, up until this year, as dictated by the Texas legislature, we had a work session where we could hammer out all of this kind of stuff without a need to have an immediate vote the same day. And so I would request that Dr. Hockenberry go back and clarify through TEA, the attorneys over in Austin, what options are available to us today after we've had the year with different schools doing different things. What do the attorneys now rule are available for us to do a 2-meeting where we can have a work session, have a discussion, get information, and then we have the action item 2 days from now, instead of us having to hear information and maybe it not be as complete as we'd like, but yet need to make an action, or we end up deferring the decision to a later date. You know, I just think we were accustomed to working that way. I think it worked well for us, and I would just like to request, if everybody will agree, because it says we have to have a majority vote, for Dr. Hockenberry to re-ask through legal, what options can we have? And then from there, as a board, once we know what legally is open, we can make a decision at that point. Do we want to structure this meeting more like we had in the past?
I agree.
And I would
Yes,
even
work sessions.
I would even revisit doing an evening meeting as a board session, I mean, as a work
100%.
session.
If we
Again,
have, if we have to.
Yes, if we have,
Yes,
because,
whatever needs to be done, we need that
We
time,
need that.
and this is case in point.
yes.
I mean, we would not have, and I hate, as I said, I don't like conflict, I don't like being the one going, oh, I'm comfortable with this, but I haven't had time to get the information I needed, and I just,
Yes.
We need work
And if you're gonna
sessions.
have this open conversation like this and this transparency, it's nice to be able to talk about it, mull on it for a couple of days, and then take the vote. I agree, 110%.
So yes, whatever we have to do to approve that request, it is
So
approved by me.
done.
Yes.
And Erica and Belinda, yes. They'll be there.
Any other questions?
I already know the answer, but I'll get it to them.
Oh, you already know? Okay.
You already know.
We're doing different things.
Just hasn't been contested yet.
See, that's what I'm wondering, is there anything?
Okay, any other questions? Then we will adjourn.